Yo, welcome back guys, welcome back to the channel. I know it's been a minute, but today I got some good stuff for you. We're going to be talking about AI buzzwords. The ones you should be paying attention to. We're midway through the decade. It's only February. It seems like it's been the longest year ever. And I just want you to be able to stay ahead of the AI trends, because right now a lot of people are selling the shovels and promising the gold. And you got to be able to filter out the BS. Let's get into it. Okay, so the whole reason I came up with today's video was because I wrote this article for this company. As you can see here, the article is titled "The AI Buzzwords, Top Artificial Intelligence Changes Reshaping Business." Now, let's just kind of take a step back real quick. We're going to do a quick deep dive into how did we get to the buzzwords of today. And really, to me, this all kind of stems from late November 2022 when ChatGPT got announced. Now, ChatGPT isn't the invention of AI. ChatGPT is really just the first tool that passed the mom test. What is a mom test, you ask? Well, my mother, who is a lovely woman, she is somewhat tech savvy, but she's in a boomer class. And I'm sure maybe like your grandparents or your great grandparents, whatever the situation is for you, if you try to talk about TikTok or social media or iPhone, they kind of just struggle mentally. It's like a lot of mental energy. And when you start talking about AI, they're like, oh man, that sounds super cool, but I don't understand any of that. Back in my day, we used to work on cars and work in a factory and work in a shop. Not to like poke fun of those people, there's no ageism going on this channel, but my mom was actually able to use ChatGPT and then understand the basics of like what it was offering. And that's what I mean when I say it passes the mom test. Now, there's been some tech over the last 5 to 10 years. Let's talk about Bitcoin and crypto for a moment, where it didn't really pass a mom test, in my opinion. If anything, I really shout out that one grandma who was like trying to, buy a coin here and then transfer it to this coin and go to this coin. And I'm just like, your money's gone. Crypto in a lot of ways is like the biggest scam in the world, but at the same time, Bitcoin itself is like over 100K. So who knows what's really going on? The complexity behind blockchain, NFT, and everything Web3, that really didn't pass the mom test to me, because even my own channel couldn't really explain what Web3 and, it just sounded cool. I'll be honest with you. At the time, I was just like, yo, I'm trying to sell you shovels too. It just sounded cool, guys. But ChatGPT is really the first AI tool that allowed anybody to tap into AI. And if you think about that first year of when ChatGPT got announced, it was really like the mainstream adoption. People were using it, and like, think about it. The first 3 to 6 months, people were talking about it. It was in the news. This is the next big tech disruptor. And again, we were just coming off metaverse, pandemic. We were just coming off like a time where we were at home bored. Like, imagine ChatGPT dropped in 2020. Like, we probably would have been good staying indoors during the pandemic, but it came out a few years later. People forget that part. I know time flies, right? And this first era of AI, I like to call it the Gen AI era, or the generative AI era. For those of you who don't know what Gen AI is, all it is you're producing content. And so remember, those first 3 to 6 months, probably even closer to a year, ChatGPT was free. You were able to enter a prompt, ask a follow-up question. It had Google shaking in their boots. And that first year was really like ChatGPT. Then going into the end of 2023, moving into 2024, the rise of the competition. It's really the rise of Anthropic. People who left OpenAI, they're like, we're going to do our own thing, but do it differently. Now you have Anthropic with Claude and their Sonnet AI, and truly a competitor. And then you had Google, who, you guys remember, Google at the time was hyping up Google Stadia and gaming and all these things. And then the second ChatGPT came out and they realized this could actually mess up Google. They dropped Stadia, they dropped all of their whole Web3 crypto things. They dropped everything and they were like, hey, we're releasing Bard. And Bard was the, hey, this is our ChatGPT. Bard, it wasn't good when it first dropped, but it was Google's first attempt to get into the game. And you just have to understand that first year, ChatGPT was kind of like AWS. It just got the head start. Then the following year, it was all of the competition. Because everybody who was talking about Bitcoin, blockchain, NFTs, they dropped all of those projects. Meta went from Metaverse. I mean, think about it. They renamed Facebook to Meta. And then it was kind of like the metaverse is like on hold because the reality is those goggles are just too big. And until you get VR and AR, kind of like Black Mirror episode with Anthony Mackie, and you can feel things and do things and it feels like you're actually a character, and then you start getting into some dark territory, it's just not there yet. That's just my opinion. But that whole ecosystem really started to develop. AI just started rising left and right. And fast forward to probably late 2024 is really when you start seeing like the workplace integration. And I mentioned this in an article here. I talk about it went from, hey, ChatGPT to ChatGPT and Claude and ChatGPT and Bird and ChatGPT and now Gemini. And then it was like, hey, you ever had AI into your iPhone, Apple Intelligence? Did you ever have AI built into Google Docs, into spreadsheets? You know, Microsoft has a partnership with OpenAI. Guess what? We have AI. GitHub was like, hey, we have GitHub Copilot. We help you write code. It started turning into like the workspace integration. Where can we tie in AI to help people work more effectively, efficiently, and also charge them? And that kind of leads into 2025. Agentic AI. Agent? Why is it so hard for me to say? Agentic AI. Okay. Anyways, you guys get my point. Agentic AI is really coming from the idea of what NVIDIA presented at their keynote. And all it is, to keep it simple, is see if you think of the Gen AI era as producing content, the Agentic AI is you're just running AI agents. So imagine somebody like me who wants to take their family to Disneyland. And imagine the pain and suffering of trying to go through multiple sites, Airbnb, hotels, all of that. And I want to get the best deal. And half the time I don't feel like I'm ever getting the best deal. I'm just happy I was able to just book the trip and say, finally, we're doing it. Agentic AI, ideally, I can be like, here's my credit card. This is the goal. I want you to book a family vacation for X amount of people, stay within this price range, try to get the best deals for these days, these nights, and come back to me when you're done. So the days of like just generating content are still gonna happen, but now the days of AI truly being a dedicated employee is what's happening now. So that's probably what you're gonna hear a lot of throughout this year. And if you go on YouTube right now, I'll link some videos down. You're seeing a lot of people already talk about you can create a whole bunch of different agentic AI cover worst case scenarios. I mean, people are using it in marketing and sales. People are using it with coding and cybersecurity. There's so many fields that, think about it, you can just tell AI to do something for you and then it does it. And then not only does it do it, it does it with precision. So that's kind of the wave we're in right now. Era 1, Gen AI, probably breaking into Era 2. I'm going to call it Agentic AI until something else kind of pops up. But to me, we're transitioning from this producing content to being like, I need you to do actionable tasks. Now, once I started noticing Agentic was kind of like the next wave, I started seeing all these crazy buzzwords, and I just put together a list. So we're just going to go through the ones I think are most important. Now, let's talk about workplace transformation. How is this gonna impact the workplace? What are the buzzwords people gonna say in the workplace, right? To start us off, shadow AI. And shadow, not like Shadow from the movie, even though I love that movie and I love Keanu Reeves as Shadow, but shadow AI is really, if you think of agentic AI as the next big wave, and you think of how employees were using ChatGPT, Claude, and all these AI tools to generate emails, social media calendars, responses, content ideas, whatever it is that they were generating, shadow AI is really the problem that organizations are going to run into. Because smart people are going to find out how to do their job more effectively, more efficiently. And you've already heard of the concept of being overemployed, working 2 jobs, but shadow AI really makes it difficult because if you can find ways to automate parts of your job, that gives you more time back. That also allows a company to keep doing exactly what it is that they're paying you for. Organizations are really struggle with the concept of shadow AI because people are automating tasks without any official oversight. So shadow AI. first buzzword, which leads into buzzword number 2, AI governance. Now, AI governance is the evolution of shadow AI because, like I just mentioned, there's no oversight, and a lot of oversight that exists today really is dependent on your legal team. And right now, a lot of legal teams are just telling you, hey, when we sign contracts, you can't use our data, you can't train on our data, but they don't truly understand everything going on. They're just doing what they know is best. I always kind of look at like industries like accounting and law. They're always about 5 years behind because it's like it needs to happen, it needs to kind of stick, and then they need to figure out, oh crap, you need to write policies and regulations. Like think of Tesla and think of Waymo. Like imagine insurance companies, you know, somebody driving a car, another person driving a car, they hit, boom, your fault, this person's fault. Imagine the first call to State Farm when you were like, oh man, Waymo car ran into another Waymo car. We need to file insurance. And like, I'm sure the other person on the line was like, who was driving? And they're like, no one. What? We don't have this use case. Like we don't know how to cover it. AI governance is really, you're going to hear a lot of organizations implement this dedicated role of really providing AI oversight. Can you use Copilot? Can you use Claude? Should you be using your own private G? Because the reality is AI is not going anywhere. And if you're curious on how I would go about it, if you're watching this video right now, you really shouldn't be using ChatGPT or Claude or DeepSeek or any of these AI tools via the web. You should be setting up your own AI on your local machine. That way it's isolated to your environment. And if you want to know how to do that, just let me know in the comment section below and that'll be my next video. Moving on to the next buzzword. I talk about the great talent flip. I've heard a few people say different things, but I just felt like this one just sounded the best to me. You're going to be noticing engineering talent really shift from working on AI models, LLMs, working at OpenAI and Meta and all these big tech companies to just being like, dude, I already know how to build a house. I just don't want to do the foundation. I don't want to do the plumbing. I don't want to do the electric work. I don't want to have to lay the tile. You're telling me I have a tool that can allow me to build a house 100 times faster than ever before, not have to hire anybody. And because I understand how the cloud works and cybersecurity and the basics of software engineering, I just need to come up with a really good idea. And you're telling me I can do that? You guys see, hey, look, I'm working behind the scenes. I'll tell you guys about that later. But yeah, the great talent flip is really just the idea that you're going to see a lot of people really look at the companies that they're helping and they're like, I could just go build something for my own. And see, in the past that was really hard to do, but now with AI, the idea of being a solopreneur billion-dollar company, totally feasible. We haven't seen it yet because it's still being worked on, but it's more possible now than it's ever been before. Then I mentioned startup AI teams. I think this one is also kind of piggybacking off the previous one, which is a lot of startups, historically, they hire a lot of software engineers. And those software engineers are probably going to make up 80% of the company, and then the rest are like everybody else. Well, coders, the whole idea of coding is less valuable now because of AI. I'm not saying AI is better at coding, but look, I'll be honest with you. I use Cursor, I use GitHub Copilot. I've been messing around with JetBrains, AI assistant, but the idea of coding without AI like doesn't exist anymore. And I've actually been in presentations with my colleagues and they're like, look, I don't even know what this code does. It's AI generated, but it works. I know that. I had to understand it better, and like, honestly, sometimes you just ask like the AI, like, explain this to me like I'm 5. The idea that startup teams need like 100 engineers to get going, it's probably going to be flipped, and it's going to be like, maybe I only need 1 or 2 really good engineers. And those engineers are going to probably be more like cloud oriented people. Like, how do I tie in to AWS Bedrock? How do I tie into OpenAI? How do I want to use multiple AIs? How do I do that? It's like, yeah, you need somebody to understand that part, but you can probably do all the prototyping if you're just a product person. So that transitions into our next category, market evolution. So here, one of the things I wanted to talk about is AI free, which is going to become like a premium service. Now, I'll just give you a perfect example. You ever seen these types of videos? You know, the ones where Adam from 11 Labs, his voice, Reddit or Minecraft in the background, and somebody reading some Reddit stories from the Reddit stories thread. You know, at first it was kind of cool, and you will watch some of them, and I guarantee if you go onto Facebook, because that has a little bit of an older demographic, you'll just see people who still love watching those videos. I always kind of say Facebook is about like 5 years behind everything else personally, but you'll see people who still enjoy those videos. That's going to get to a point though where like we as individuals are gonna want like a counter movement. We're gonna want a platform that there's no AI. YouTube, I want to be able to watch YouTube videos with no AI, because like I'm getting so sick of watching these anime videos and they keep saying no, it's not Naruto or Naruto, they're like Naruto, and I'm like, what the heck, like that's clearly an AI. And sometimes they just get things wrong. You know, slight tangent, I'm watching one, they're talking about Dragon Ball and they're like, Dragon Ball when Goku goes Super Saiyan 7, and I'm like, see, I know that person typed in 7 instead of 4 or 3 or something like that, but the AI didn't know. It just kind of regurgitating it, right? And I just think AI free is going to be something people want. That's why a lot of people are going to streaming. You can't fake me streaming. Like, that is a real person doing a real thing. That leads into our next buzzword: outcome arbitrage. Now, this is really just organizations, because they do this is what businesses do. They're going to try to find companies, solutions, tooling that just allows them to just buy an AI generated solution. So hey, you kind of saw with Hollywood, the whole writer strike. They were saying like, well, we just want to be able to use an actor's face and just put him in all the movies. And they were like, hell no, you can't. Like, imagine like you make one movie and then they just got your face forever. You're being 100 movies moving on, but like maybe they don't know what they're signing away. So let's see if we can slip it in. And luckily you had enough smart people like, this is a horrible move. No, not happening. But outcome arbitrage, like literally, like I have a certain outcome. Where can I just pay an AI solution company service tool to just give me that? Which then is going to lead into what's going to be known as micro companies. This is really just individual entrepreneurs leveraging AI to make $1 million businesses with minimal cost. And then there's going to be AI native retail. So like, I love shopping online. Like the days of me going into a store are, I'm not saying like gone, but like when I do shop on Bougie, like I ordered this on Nike.com. I want built shirts and pants, so I go to the builtbasic.com store, which is not available in a brick and mortar. And I think what you're going to see next are these native retail experiences where it's truly like tailored towards me. This is what I'm kind of hoping. It's going to be a design, develop, deliver. Ooh, I said that like I'm working on something, but y'all just got to stay tuned to see what that is. Plug. But the idea that like, yo, I want to design my own Jordan. Not just like the Nike ID. I mean like straight up design it from scratch. Like I want to take an Air Force One and I want to mix it with the Jordan 11. And somebody's like, what? That doesn't exist. Watch. Design it. Hey, get enough boats on it. They produce it. Boom. Jordan 58, whatever you want to call it. I don't know. But yeah, AI native retail, whatever it is that you ideally would like to see that doesn't exist, you'll be able to easily build it versus just waiting on somebody to make it. Let's transition a bit. Let's go into technology trends. I'm not going to go through all these because some of these you can just read throughout the article yourself, but I want to talk about beyond text prompting. Really exactly what it sounds like. I'm getting sick of typing in a prompt with ChatGPT. I think you are too. But Google just came up with like Notebook LLM. Really, what I thought was super cool, it was like a video editor. And this person was like, okay, I'm going to turn this tool on. As I'm turning it on, I'm going to turn it on where it can listen to me. Like I'm on a phone call with AI and I'm going to share my screen. And what this person was, he was a video editor, hopped in Adobe Premiere Pro. He had some video footage up. He wanted to remove the background. So he's like, hey, I want to remove the background. How would I do that? And he was able to look on this person's screen and be like, oh, you're in Adobe. You want to remove the background? Try masking the individual and then go here to actually remove. And it was like walking him through how to use Adobe Premiere Pro. So the idea of just like typing into prompts, typing into GitHub Copilot and GitHub Chat, or get into ChatGPT or Claude or any of the like the typing part of it, I think we want to get to the point where it's like Tony Stark and Jarvis and you can actually talk to it. I talk about AI driven development. That's pretty simple. Like companies, devs, they're just going to be using AI more to do more things. But the next thing I want to highlight is code is going to become less valuable. You've seen it. You saw Meta. You saw Zuck with his new Jack Harlow style trying to talk about, we have AI. That's probably going to be like a mid-level engineer. By the way, mid-level engineer at a FANG company is probably a senior engineer at most companies. I'm not hyping up Fang. I'm just saying the rigor to get in there, a bit different. So mid-level, some people hear that and they're like, that's not that too impressive. It's probably going to be better than you think, to be honest with you. But yeah, the idea that like I know how to code is going to be less important because a lot of it's going to be written by AI. Now it's not perfect and you still need people to really manage it. But again, the idea that like I can't do anything because I don't know how to code, like that barrier is slowly being removed. User experiences. I mentioned that voice AI is going to be dominant in 2025 because like I said, I'm sick of typing. The one thing I'm really looking forward to, and I'm trying, todavía necesito practica mi español. How was that? But I've been working on my Spanish, right? And the one thing I really want is be able to talk to an AI, but the problem I've been having is they all still don't sound great, and there's a lot of tools, they're getting better, but I'm really waiting for the one where it like sounds like a native speaker. It has, every detail that is really required in terms of picking up, enunciation, pronunciation, all of those things, you know what I mean? So you're going to see a huge bump in voice AI. And people are going to be like, oh, voice AI, VAI, whatever it is. Like, that's going to be the buzzword, voice AI. AI's mainstream moment. Super Bowl 2025 is coming up. Go Patrick Mahomes. I'm not a Chiefs fan, but I like Patrick Mahomes. And Taylor Swift is relevant when they play. My daughter loves T Swift, so go Chiefs. But when it comes to the mainstream moment, this Super Bowl, these commercials, I don't know what to expect, but it might be the mainstream moment in the sense that we get generated AI content for commercials. We might get something where it's really just kind of like telling the world AI is here. It's been out for a few years, but like we haven't had a moment where like, oh, do you remember this one AI thing? Like I think of it like when IBM and Apple were beefing, and then Apple came out with that commercial where like the girl like threw something, and you guys know what I'm talking about, and it like shows that like Apple is creative and IBM is just like, the corporate overload workforce. But that was like a mainstream moment. People talk about that like that was a moment when I knew Apple was going to change the game. Super Bowl might be our mainstream moment. TBD. There's also going to be the AI content crisis. Now, some people have been calling it when the internet dies. I think that's a little dramatic. But the AI content crisis, platforms are going to implement human creations to combat AI workflow. What, Caleb? What did you just say? I'm so sick of seeing Adam from 11 Labs talk about Reddit stories like I mentioned earlier. I'm so sick of hearing AI get things wrong about anime, saying things wrong in anime. And I think this is why more people, like I said earlier, are streaming, making authentic content where they're umming and stuttering and messing things up. I've recorded this video 2 times, by the way, just so you know. And this idea that like we just want something authentic, man. I think some of these platforms, they keep talking about we're gonna create more fake Instagram. Like think about Instagram right now, and think of all the girls or guys or whatever you check out, like dang, she's hot, this guy's good looking, all those things. Think about that, right? And then think about, imagine if it was all AI and you knew it was all AI. It's just they look better than they do today, but like none of it's real. It almost makes it like I don't care, because there's not only are you not real, and yeah, you look real, but you're not real. There's a part of why we like to look at certain people because they're like, there's a chance I can see them. And some of you creeps out there think you have a chance at getting with them, but you don't. I'm telling you now. You're gonna see an influencer shift. You're gonna keep talking about the influencer shift. So the next buzzword is the influencer shift, meaning human generated content is gonna become the premium differentiator. Then we're gonna talk about the AI copycat economy. I think copycat economy is gonna be legitimate because I'll give you a perfect example. TikTok gets banned. Then people like Mr. Beast and Roblox are going to come in and save the day. But I really sat there and I'm like, what's stopping me from making a TikTok? I mean, yeah, I don't have the users and maybe not all the features, but like sometimes I look at like Threads and it's like, oh, Threads are supposed to compete with Twitter or X. And then I'm really sitting there, I'm like, yeah, but when you guys launched, you had like 3 features. And I really sat there, I'm like, you could have probably copy and pasted at least like 60% of the features from Twitter X. And I remember people hopping on, they're like, I can't do this, I can't do that. Like, and then it kind of just dipped. And now like, it's kind of petered out, like as most platforms do. Social media is tough, but yeah, copycat economy. Like with AI, you're gonna see people making clones on clones on clones, and then it's tweaking it a little bit, but it's more or less gonna be a bunch of Uber and Lyft times 10. I wouldn't be surprised if there is an AI native social network, meaning personalized AI generated content really becomes a norm, like I was saying earlier. So I actually have been working on a side project, and let me know what you guys think about this. You guys know I work at media companies. That's why we're reading this particular article. Like, would you be interested in this, like a media company that was just all AI? No editors, no people, no oversight, this robots, this AI, this writing shit, taking popular articles and breaking them down. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. All right, let's move on. Financial innovation. Talk about AI managed investment funds. Just exactly what it sounds like. Personalized AI in apps. We're seeing a lot of that already. The AI financial assistance. I'm actually looking forward to this one because a lot of people need to read books to become more financially illiterate, but we'll probably get to the point where you're just like, hey, I have this much money, what would you do? And it'll just be built in the Capital One app, be built in the Bank of America app, be built in the Amex app, whatever it is, whoever you bank with. I just named 3 big ones that came off the top of my head. But you just have the ability, instead of hiring a financial advisor, you just use AI as your financial advisor. That's pretty much our article. I think, yeah, we went through most of the good ones. I skipped over a few, but you guys get the point. There's a lot of buzzwords. If you liked the article, please like, share, subscribe with your friends, family. But yeah, man, I think the last thing I'll just highlight is there's still people who are not on the AI train. And what I mean by that is they're only using ChatGPT. They've only played with Midjourney once. They don't know anything about Hugging Face. They don't know how to set up your own AI locally. They don't know how to set up your own private GPT. They don't know how to train a AI based off your data and your document. And if, like I said earlier, if you're interested in learning how to do those things, all you gotta do is get this video to, let's be modest, let's just say 20 likes, because I'm getting back into the game and I would love to make more content like this for you guys. But let me know what I missed. Let me know what buzzwords you've been hearing about. But for now, that's all I got for you. Tech out.